Hey y'all, welcome to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Samantha Leighanne and I talk about books. Today I have my September wrap-up, which was surprisingly a lot better than I thought that it was originally going to be. I've been doing my wrap-ups kind of vlog style, however, with this month I participated in two different readathons. I participated in the Tome Infinity and Beyond science fiction readathon, as well as contemporary-a-thon, and I did vlog for both of those. So since I was vlogging for all of that, I didn't do the vlog style wrap-ups as I finished books. So I finished 14 books this month, and it only came out to 1,384 pages, and the reason for that is because I listen to a lot of audiobooks. So when you go through and actually break down formatting, 3 physical books, 2 ebooks, and 9 audiobooks. It was really audiobook heavy month for me just because of, traveling and some things that I have, like going on at home. It's a lot easier for me to get things done and listen to audiobooks simultaneously. More often than not, whenever I'm listening to audiobooks, I'm kind of going back and forth with a physical copy and an audiobook, but I just was listening to what I currently have in my Audible library and stuff like that. So, okay, so when we look at the star breakdowns, I had 1 5-star read, 4 4-star reads, 7 3-star reads, 1 2-star read, and 1 1-star read. So, it was pretty average month, I guess, really. And then as far as the genres are concerned, 5 sci-fi books, 4 contemporary, 2 fantasy, 1 historical fiction, 1 horror, and 1 mystery thriller. So also kind of all over the place in terms of genre as well. So I will not be going through every single book that I read, just because the books that I read for Tome Infinity and Beyond, as well as the books that I read for Contemporary-a-thon, all of my thoughts are already in the vlogs for those. So I'll show the book, do the star rating, but if you want to see what my actual thoughts are, you're gonna have to watch the vlogs, which will be linked up above in the cards as well as down below in the description. I also have a specific playlist for vlogs. You can check that out. So the first thing that I listened to this month was a sci-fi. It was Spear by Michael Crichton. Crichton seems pretty good term there. So basically, this book, science fiction, I believe it was published in the 80s, I'm pretty sure. 80s, early 90s, something like that. There's a movie, never saw it. So basically, this book is about a team of scientists and a psychologist who have found this vessel in the bottom of the ocean. They're like in the Marianas Trench or something like that, I think. I don't recall exactly where they are. I just know they're in the bottom of the ocean, and they have found this vessel, and they have no idea what this vessel is, but they're assuming this alien. Well, our main character, whose name I don't recall because that's how much I liked this book, I gave it 3 stars if I didn't mention that already. Probably more like 2. The more that I think about it, it's probably more like 2. I'll probably go back and change those. Do you guys ever do that? Do you ever go through and like change your Goodreads ratings after the fact? Because I do that shit all the time. Like, I'm on a high after I finish the book, and then like the more that I think about it, the lower or higher I end up rating it. So anyway, it was just okay. There was some racism and some misogyny in here. Like, very, very white dude. You can tell that the author's a white dude. Again, this is the only thing that I ever read by him, so like I can't speak for the rest of his body of work. I want to read Jurassic Park. I think that's probably the only other thing that I'll end up reading by him, but it was just okay. It actually very much reminded me of The Deep by Nick Cutter. I think that Nick Cutter definitely took some inspiration, only in terms of the plot, because there really wasn't very much that was like scary. There were a couple of like tension-filled moments, but I mean, really, that was it. I don't know, it was just okay. I honestly probably wouldn't recommend it. There are a lot better science fiction type books about aliens and stuff that you could read. So, I mean, realistically, I would skip this one. All right, next book that I picked up was Stardust by Neil Gaiman. I really love Neil Gaiman's writing, and I did very much enjoy this one as well. I gave it 3 stars. It wasn't the best book that I've ever read by him, but I definitely really enjoyed the story. It's a cute little fantasy. I know this was also a movie. Haven't seen it. But basically, this is about Tristan Thorn, who is in love with this girl, Victoria, and in order to win her heart, he has gone on a mission to catch a falling star, right? In order to catch the falling star, he has to go through this world, this other mystical land called Fairy, and, the plot kind of goes from there. Again, I really liked the writing. It was a cute little story. It was short. It was a really fast read. I really liked Tristan's character. honestly, and I enjoyed the other characters that were in the book as well. It has a love story element to it, and I ended up really enjoying it. It was really cute. It was really sweet. So, you know, really cute, fun. If you're looking for something that's lighthearted, you know, a little whimsical, magical, then I would definitely recommend picking this up. And this is also something, like, if you enjoyed like Ocean at the End of the Lane, but you didn't like American Gods, I think that you would probably like this one. So, okay, so next we're gonna talk about my Tome Infinity reads. And again, I'm gonna talk about what they are, the stars that I gave them. I'm not gonna talk about my actual thoughts. First thing that I read, I checked it out from my library. It was The Martian by Andy Weir, and I listened to it on audio. The audio was well done. I liked Mark Watney's character. Gave the book 2 stars. There were a lot of things that I didn't like about it. So next, I also listened to another book from my library, a space opera by Catherine M. Valente. It's exactly what it sounds like. It's a space opera. It's about an intergalactic singing competition. Really fun. I love Catherine Valente's writing. Gave that one 4 stars. Next, I also listened from my library, Binti the Night Masquerade, which is the 3rd in the Binti trilogy by Nnedi Okorafor. And I thought that it was a fitting end to the series. I really like her writing. I liked the story. I really love the way that she weaves the science fiction elements in with the cultural elements because of where Binti is from. Again, really great writing style. Gave that one 3 stars. If you are looking for like something short and science fiction-y, and especially if you're looking to read something from a person of color, I highly recommend checking that series out. All 3 of them are novella length. So, and the last thing that I read for Tome Infinity was War of the Worlds, and I originally gave that one 3 stars, and I feel like I'm gonna down it to 2 because it was just boring. I have come to the conclusion that while I can appreciate the things that H.G. Wells did for the genre as a whole, everything that I have read by him so far, I have not really enjoyed, unfortunately. Well, I'm not gonna say that I haven't enjoyed them. It's just been more, I don't know, I'm just bored. I don't like his writing style. It's very dry. Probably because it was written in the 1800s. So once again, I'm just not a huge fan of classics. And I did listen to this. And I can tell you that the audiobook is no better. So 2 stars, I'd skip it, honestly. So I love that I like gave the star breakdown, and now I'm like changing my star breakdown, but you know, it is what it is, right? Okay. All right, so now going to my contemporary-a-thon reads. Read 4 books for this. First book that I read for this is Turtles All the Way Down by John Green. Gave this one 4 stars, really enjoyed it. It features a teenager with OCD rep. I cannot speak for that rep, but it does talk a lot about anxiety, spiraling thoughts, things like that. I really enjoyed that. Could potentially be triggering to someone with anxiety, so know that before going into it. You can see my full thoughts in the blog. Next, I listened to The Poet X by Elizabeth Acevedo, and I loved that book. 5 stars, only 5-star read of the month. Absolutely loved it. Beautiful, beautiful story. If you have the opportunity to listen to the audio, I highly recommend it. Elizabeth Acevedo is a slam poet, and so this is a book that's written in verse, so she narrates it. So someone with that talent and reading her own words, it's magical, chills, like so good. In the vlog that I did, I talked about why I chose this book, and I think I linked 4 or 5 different Latinx booktubers and their reviews in that down bar, so I highly encourage you to check those out because they can speak much better to this book than I can, but it's just so good, and you really should read it. Next book is The Story Hours by 3D Umragar, and I do have a physical copy. It's down there on the shelf, but my back's bothering me today, and I don't feel like getting all the way down there to get that out of the shelf. So this is a book that I rated 4 stars. Really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the writing. I enjoyed the story. There were a couple things that I didn't really care for about it, but she's an Indian American writer, and I have at least one other book on my shelf by her that I'm really looking forward to after reading this. This is a very well-crafted story. Really enjoyed her writing style. So, and the last book that I read for Contemporary-a-thon was Tampa by Alyssa Nutting, and it was 1 star, and you shouldn't read it because it's terrible. It's honestly terrible. It's disgusting. It's pornographic, featuring 14-year-old boys. I could not see the reason that it was written the way that it was. Maybe if you've read it and you can enlighten me, like, go right ahead. I talk further about my feelings in a pretty, it's not lengthy, but it's definitely a rant in my blog, so you can check that out. But It's 1 star, don't read it. I'm glad I never bought a physical copy. Those were all of my readathon books, so now we're actually going to talk about it a little bit more in depth with the books that I read in the last half of the month. So the next book that I read was The Word is Murder. This is by Anthony Horowitz, and I checked this one out from my library. I didn't originally intend on reading anything in the mystery thriller category. However, my hold came in from the library, so I went ahead and listened to that. This is the second book that I've read by him, and I really enjoy his writing style. So in this book, he inserts himself as a character, and he's actually going through and helping he's an ex-police detective, I'm pretty sure. His name is Hawthorne. His name is Hawthorne. He's helping him with this murder investigation. And Hawthorne has commissioned Horowitz to write this book about him and his investigation. Definitely kind of a modern day Holmes and Watson, right? And it was fun. I enjoyed it. I ended up giving it 3 stars. I feel like it wasn't as strong as Magpie Murders, which is another mystery that he wrote. And that one is, you know, same formatting, definitely a really cool whodunit. And I personally just enjoyed that one a little bit more. But if you enjoy mysteries and you really like a good whodunit, if you are really into retellings of Sherlock and Watson, then I definitely recommend picking this one up. Next book I also listened to, got this one from my library. No, I just had this one on Audible, and I have found myself really drawn to like fairy tale retellings lately, but I really love them with like dark elements, right? So, you know, you have Stardust, which is like fantasy, but it did feel very fairy tale like, right? So the Book of Lost Things is about a young boy, takes place during World War I or World War II, I don't remember, but his mother has passed on. He is living with his father's new wife, and their new child, and he's finding himself really jealous. And one day he finds himself in the garden, I think after fighting with his stepmother or something like that, and finds his way into a whole other world. And I loved this book. Like, again, this is one that I rated 4 stars, but like I keep thinking about it, and so I feel like I'm probably gonna up my rating to 5 stars because I loved the writing, and I loved how magical it was, and I really loved the messages that were, you know, sprinkled throughout the book. But the thing that I loved the most was the darkness of it. You guys know how I feel about horror. While at times it was magical and lighthearted, there was this element of darkness to it, and I really loved that. I really appreciated how he wove that in there, and so it was actually a lot darker than I was expecting it to be, and I think that's one of the reasons that I actually enjoyed it so much. So again, like I said, I'm really into the whole like dark fairy tale thing right now, so if you have any suggestions for books along those lines, I definitely would like to see those down in the comments because I'm really feeling it right now. So, okay. Next book that I read is the lone historical fiction this month, and it's I Am Anastasia by Ariel Lawson. Gave it 3 stars. I wanted to like it a lot more than I did, unfortunately. So basically, we all know the story of Anastasia Romanoff, so you know that's your background, or Anna Anderson as she called herself, right? The formatting of the story was really what killed it. I could definitely tell that there was a lot of research that went into this book. And I found myself doing my own research, which is, we've talked about before with the historical fiction. I love that in a historical fiction, something that makes me want to know more. And again, it's not because of any failings from her as an author, it just, you know, I wanted to know more, so I looked it up. However, the formatting and the timeline was done very strangely. You're going back and forth, you know, from one time to this time over here, and you're having to like familiarize yourself with different characters and like really stop and think about like where you're going. And so because of that, it wasn't really an immersive experience like I would have liked for it to be. And also because of that, I didn't really connect with the characters, and I didn't really care for the way that Anastasia was written as a character either, the more that I think about it. I didn't find her to be super sympathetic at any point. Me personally, I didn't connect with her in any way. So unfortunately, 3 stars. If you're really into like Romanoff history, then I would maybe suggest it, but I mean, I personally could have gone without it. So And the very last book that I read for the month was Zone 1 by Colson Whitehead. It's a horror kind of zombie story, and I gave it 3 stars. It's another one that I didn't really love. Maybe it just has to do with when I read it. I don't know. I will say this. I really enjoy Colson Whitehead's writing. I did read The Underground Railroad, and that to me was miles better than Zone 1. But if you go into reading Zone 1 thinking that it's going to be like Underground Railroad, you're wrong. The writing style is obviously pretty much the same, and so that aspect of it I enjoyed. But I didn't really care for the story very much. Like, there wasn't really, I didn't feel like there was really anything moving the plot along. It was very much like character driven in certain aspects of it. Maybe it's because this is another one that I had put on hold and it finally came through. So I don't know, I wanted to like it more than I did. So those are the 14 books that I read for the month of September. Have you read any of these books? If you have, comment down below and let me know what you thought of them. Once again, check out the vlogs for Tome Infinity and Contemporary Readathon. All of that will be linked down below. I know October is going to be a very different month for me in terms of what I'm reading, just because, you know, it's October, it's time to get spooky. I'm finally achieving my final form. So, looking forward to that. Anyway, as always, if you like what you see and you want to see more, make sure you click thumbs up and hit subscribe if you have not already. All of my social media links are also found in the down bar below. You can connect with me on Twitter, Goodreads, and Instagram. Thank you guys so very much for watching, and I will see you all next time. Bye.